After a lot of experience working in this field, I can confidently share with you the top 5 effects of divorce on children. Let's start with the most obvious effect of divorce on children: uncertainty. Uncertainty about where they fit, uncertainty about their family, uncertainty about the world around them. Children get their sense of security and predictability primarily from their home, from the first 3 years of their life. These are very crucial developmental times for children. And when that is disrupted through a divorce, it brings a lot of things into question for them about how stable, how secure, how safe they are in their world. This uncertainty about what is to come. Little disclaimer, as I share these 5 effects of divorce on children, none of these are insurmountable. All of these can be ameliorated and helped through positive parenting practices that you can practice unilaterally, meaning you can do this yourself. You don't have to have cooperation from any other person, from the other parent. Of course, it's always nice when we can get that. But these are things that you can address personally. We're not going to get into all of the remedies that can happen. I think I'm going to lump that into a general category called positive parenting. And if you want some more help with that, jump over to the Parenting Power Up or liveonpurposecentral.com, where we have put together all of the resources that you'll need to do that piece. Let's move on to the second effect. Children who experience the divorce of their parents almost universally feel a conflict of loyalties. This is because they love both of their parents. And if their parents are no longer together, or if their parents no longer love each other, the child feels pulled one way or the other. This is one of the most psychologically damaging aspects of divorce for children, because they think that somehow they have to choose or select one of their parents to remain loyal to and dismiss the other. Quite frankly, sometimes parents make this worse because they have the same mentality. Yeah, let's delete the other parent. Not healthy, folks. And this puts the kids in a very difficult position. I had the privilege and honor of interviewing Frank Abagnale on my podcast, Live on Purpose Radio. Frank is the subject of a popular movie that came out years ago starring Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio, Catch Me If You Can. This is a story about a young man who at a very early age left his home and became one of the most notorious con men in American history. He impersonated an airline pilot, a university professor, a doctor, an attorney, all successfully before the age of 19, when he was finally arrested and stopped from committing all of these crimes that he was doing at the time. As I was interviewing Frank, he shared with me that what started that entire process was being put in a position as a 16-year-old boy to choose between his parents when they were getting divorced. It's more than he could handle. And that's why he ran away and got involved in all of the things that made him famous eventually, and also landed him in prison in 3 different countries. What position do we put our kids in when we divorce and insist that they declare their loyalty? What if we could instead have the confidence to give our children permission to continue loving both of their parents? That's what I usually tried to advocate for when I was a child custody evaluator for the courts. I did that for about 13 years of my career. That is not an easy thing to pull off. It takes a lot of maturity on the parts of the parents who are involved to get past their own issues and help their children to not be conflicted in their loyalties, but to feel full permission to love both of their parents. The third on our top 5 list today is reconciliation fantasies. This is a fancy psychological term that basically means that kids tend to continue to hope or wish or dream that their parents would get back together. And the parents usually know that's not going to happen. But the kids continue to have those fantasies. This is normal, and it's not particularly harmful, especially if the parents can negotiate some kind of an arrangement that allows those children to freely love each of their parents. Reconciliation fantasies are so strong that even some of my adult clients whose parents divorce still have fantasies that their parents will get back together. And it can last for a lifetime. This comes from some very early formed perceptions of children about what their world is. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but those formative years are so important for children as they develop their sense of who they are, where they fit in the world. And that usually involves a perception of their family being together in one tight little circle. When those circles split, then it's like the child has two worlds that they need to learn to negotiate now. And it's very normal for them in that circumstance to continue to fantasize or wish for or hope that those could be the same thing again. Again, this is one of those things that can be handled through open communication, positive parenting, helping those children to feel secure and full permission to love both of their parents. These are the things that will help the most. You know, a little disclaimer here. I shared with you that I did child custody evaluations for the court for about 13 years of my career. And in that time, I learned, first of all, that I don't like it. It's yuck work, quite frankly. I much prefer assisting people like you to do the things that will help to minimize the damage and maximize the positive effects of whatever lifestyle changes come up for your kids. In all of that time working in child custody, I saw a lot of kids who were hurt by things that their parents could have done differently and still get divorced, but do it in a way that doesn't damage the children quite so much. That's why we're having this conversation to start with. Now back to the list. Let's go to number 4, alienation. This is a term that was coined by Dr. Richard Gardner years ago when he called it parental alienation syndrome. And it was the first time that the court started to recognize that, oh, there are some times when one parent or the other, and sometimes both, would start to poison the waters a little bit. You know, plant seeds of discontent in the children against the other parent. It is a nasty tactic that hurts children. Please do not do this. On behalf of your children, I ask you to honor and respect the other parent, even if you hate them. And that's not easy to do. That's why I said earlier it takes a little bit of maturity to do this. Parental alienation is one of the most damaging effects that children can experience in a divorce. Now, what if it's not you? What if it's the other parent that's doing the alienating? I'm actually doing another video specifically on that topic, so you can watch for that one. For now, let's just say that you need to live with integrity. You need to be the person that you've promised yourself and your children that you would be, and not get sucked into the nasty dynamics that happen sometimes in a child custody dispute or when parents divorce and can't figure out how to share their kids. Do not engage in parental alienation. And if you need some help to see it, get the help that you need so that we don't hurt the kids in the process. Now, I've saved the most obvious one, perhaps, until last, and that's anxiety and depression. A very common occurrence among children whose parents get divorced, and it's because of all of the other things that we've talked about here today. It's not something that we can't overcome, because with a lot of support, good communication, and positive parenting, we can help our children through positive parenting to work through the difficulties that will come into their lives if their parents divorce. Keep in mind that children are very resilient. When we approach them with love and confidence and support, they can get through anything, including this. I hope in sharing these effects of divorce with you, it's raised your awareness to some things that you can actually improve and help your children with. There's lots of hope. And if you weren't even aware of it, there are resources available to you through Live on Purpose Central. Please come and check it out. go.liveonpurposecentral.com, where you will find resources, you will find coaching that's available. I even do open office hours there where you can pop in and ask me a question. Anytime you need some support as a member of Live on Purpose Central, come check it out.
Look into my eyes and never let it go.